LA Metro Magazine podcast is here to bring you the entertaining, informative, and inspiring stories of the people who live, work, and play in the greater Lewiston-Auburn, Maine area. I'm your host, Colby Michaud. On this episode, we chat with Jimbo Marston, the owner and publisher of Uncle Andy's Digest and LA Metro Magazine. Jim takes us on a brief journey through his childhood. We get insight into his acquisition of the Digest, hear about his involvement with Make A Wish Maine, and we also get into some deeper questions about the meaning of life and why it's important to stay positive. This is LA Metro Magazine Podcast, Episode 9. Hey, Jimbo.
Colby, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good.
Welcome to LA Metro Magazine Podcast.
Oh, glad to be here.
I would say you were somewhat influential in the production of this project.
Yeah, I might have a little hand in it.
Like very small, very small hand in that.
Like you're running with it. I'm just here for support.
That's right. So how does it feel to be finally on it?
Good. Yeah, this is it's been great. I've listened to every episode too. So,
all jokes aside, it is an honor actually to talk to you and get your perspective on all things LA Metro and Uncle Andy's Digest, and eventually we'll get to talking about Make A Wish, which is very special to you.
It is.
And I'm sure we'll touch on some other fun things too. Before that, could you kind of walk us through a brief history of Jimbo Marston?
Yeah, I mean, I don't find it all that interesting, but I guess maybe some people would. But basically brought up by a single mom. Lost my dad pretty early at the age of 13, and but my mom was very influential in my life and taught me what work ethic was, because that still drives me today. She did a great job raising 3 kids and working her butt off herself, and it's just a mostly regular childhood for the most part, and typical teenage boy, found my share of trouble to get into, and
you grew up in this area, right?
Grew up in Mechanic Falls, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. Went to Elm Street School up until 9th grade, and that was the only school in the area that went to 9th grade. All the other Minot and Poland actually went to Walton School back then. That was for freshmen back in the day. Not so today, but we all went to EL together from there. So we joined them as sophomores, because after our freshman year in Mechanic Falls. But yeah, no, good upbringing in my opinion, and my mother did the best she could with what she had, and obviously much older today, and have a much greater appreciation for what she did, and greater appreciation for community and what it's all about today too. So,
and just for some context for the listeners, we're recording this at the end of September. Was it today or was it yesterday that the deadline for, was Uncle Andy's Digest deadline? Was it yesterday?
Yes.
But tomorrow is the deadline for LA Metro Magazine.
Yeah, well, we're actually going to print. We went to print today with the Digest, and we're going to print tomorrow with LA Metro. So yeah, it's been a rugged couple of weeks.
Yeah, and in this upcoming issue, the autumn issue, you're featured. Your story's featured. Uncle Andy's Digest story's featured. It's kind of one and the same, right?
Yeah. I mean, obviously the Digest is 25 years old, and I think that's a milestone especially for a print publication in these times. And but because of its niche and how well received it is, it's awesome to see. It's been around for that long.
Yeah. So you've been a business owner for about 20 years. Is that right?
Yes.
Did you always have that entrepreneurial spirit?
I think I did. I mean, I think, my first taste of it was, having my own paper route as a teenager. I did that for about 4 years, and that's something I took really serious. And it showed because that back then, you could, as a teenager, could have a paper route and walk it or ride your bike and deliver papers, where today you can't do that. You have to have a driver's license and a vehicle. So, but that's where I first got my, taste of business ownership and entrepreneurship. And it was just a great, it was great. I'd get up at 3 a.m., go deliver 80 papers, come back home, go to bed for an hour or two, and get up and get ready for school. So, but a lot of great memories. And I was thinking about that a little bit too, because some of the old timers from this area will remember Jake and Andy's Donuts, and they used to be in New Auburn, kind of across from where Rollies is over there, and they would deliver donuts to the area restaurants, and we would go down. Me and a couple other guys that had paper routes would meet them down behind one of the restaurants and buy donuts at like 3:30 in the morning. So there's, who does that?
Yeah. Do you remember what age you were when or how old you were doing that?
I think it was ages 12 to 16.
Well, you did it for a fair amount of time.
Yeah. Well, 4 years. Yeah.
Yeah. You must have figured out the system, right? Like the most efficient way to get the papers in the quickest way possible.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I can remember a couple of really cold winter nights, and one of my clients had a nice warm porch. I ended up taking a nap on the porch to warm up a little bit. It was pretty funny, actually. But it was neat because again, back then it was way different than it is today, and the paper boy was responsible for going door to door to collect the money for their weekly paper.
Yeah.
And then it was my responsibility to make sure that the Sun Journal got what was coming to them, and then I got to keep what was left as my my profit.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, obviously I didn't have any bills, so it was really cool. I saved a lot of money.
Right. Yeah. And you went from your responsibility of delivering paper to actually helping produce it, right? Soon after.
You're talking about the digest?
I'm talking about your time with Penmore.
Oh yeah.
When did you start working for them?
I started working at Penmore at August 1st, 1983.
Mm-hmm.
And I was there for 19 years to the day.
What was your first job there? You remember?
Yeah, absolutely. I was hired as a press helper, and that basically meant you were, washing blankets on the printing press and mixing ink and loading paper and, just all the stuff to do with helping the pressman be as efficient as he could be. And it was hard work, but it was good experience, good learning, and I enjoyed it.
I bet you learned a lot pretty quickly.
Absolutely, I learned every aspect of printing at Penmore. They were big believers in teaching their employees, especially the ones they really looked to for leadership, to know the ins and outs of as much about printing as you could, and I still use a lot of that today.
Yeah. How has printing changed over the years? The methods of actually making papers.
Well, yeah, I mean that's a great question. So, back in the day, I mean, I moved from being on helping run the press to the pre-press side, and back then they used to call us strippers, and a stripper would put the the flats together for the sheet of paper that would hold like 8 pages of a magazine on one side and 8 pages on the other. And we had to put those in the proper pagination and, the 4-color process of, cyan, magenta, yellow, black, and get those separations in exact registration so they, it looked good when it was printed. So I saw that change from what was an art by hand to all electronic. We saw the computers come in and, the high-end, pre-press stuff that they had and still have today, just took over. And we're doing it on a computer.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Everything else is like today on a computer.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Can you walk us through how you first got involved with Uncle Andy's Digest?
Sure. Well, again, after 19 years at Penmore, I'd grown in the company and had been promoted as far as I could go. And, 19 years at that company, I was still only like 37 years old. And I'm looking around, I'm like, okay, what's next? So I'm like, I can't see myself doing this for the rest of my life. And because everybody above me was family owners, and that was it. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to take one of their spots, So I started looking around. I thought maybe I'd buy my own printing company, and started looking a little bit. And, one thing led to another, and I ran into, one of the previous owners of the Digest, and was, good friends with him at the time. And, he, basically one day after, he knew I was looking, and one day after pulling all-nighter for deadline for what he was doing at the time, I happened to walk into his office, and he says, "Hey, why don't you just buy us?" And literally, I laughed it off at the time, and thinking that he was just kidding, and we kind of just joked about it for a second. But then I started thinking about it, like, maybe, why not? It could be something there, So yeah, we started talking about it. I'm like, yeah, I think I'd like to pursue this, and one thing led to another, and originally tried to buy the whole company right out of the gate, and that didn't pan out. So we're pretty flexible, and we worked it out through paying buying them out over time, and that worked out really well, and I got to learn the ropes from the previous owner, and how to sell and how to run the business, because looking at somebody running a business can look pretty easy, but I can tell you it ain't easy, especially today. But just one thing led to another, and that was back in 2001. So literally, the Digest was only 5 years old when I first started.
Yeah.
I started part-time helping them do graphics, designing some of the ads that were in the Digest. And then the next year I bought in as a third owner and ended up buying them out over the next few years.
What do you think is attributed to the growth and the success of Uncle Andy's Digest since then?
Well, again, the Digest has such a niche. It's a humor base. It's the quirky stuff, the facts and the one-liners and the quips and quotes, and obviously the out and abouts that we do. People think out and about. Obviously they think of the Digest, and you run into people wherever, and they're like, "Hey, out and about." That's kind of the common phrase they always say. So I think the combination of the humor and the local feel to it. This has a really local feel, and people really love seeing themselves show up in the Digest, and so you hear people, friends, and others say, "Hey, I saw you in the Digest this month," or it's just. I think it's just it was what was started was a great recipe and still works today.
Yeah, so a lot hasn't changed. What has since you took it over?
Well, obviously the quality. I can remember showing my previous boss at Penmore, Joe Fillion. I showed him a Digest, and he says, "Well, you can do a lot to help that," because it was a lot of people call it a rag. Back in the day, and back in those days, you'd pick it up and you'd have ink on your fingers because it would rub off from the paper onto your fingers. And the registration always wasn't the best, so it'd be a little fuzzy and blurry or whatever. We went from newsprint to better paper a few years later to full color pictures all the time, to now we're printing on glossy paper. And kind of ironic, actually, because the company that I worked for 19 years now works for me, basically, printing both the magazines that we produce. So it's, but they are excellent at what they do, and I have great relationships with those guys, and they're just pros at what they do, and I like it.
Yeah, and it's cool that they're also a very local company.
Yeah,
that you're able to keep that local. Do you happen to have any of those very old Digests still?
Oh yeah, we keep every one of them. Yeah, we typically keep at least two from every issue.
Oh wow!
And we keep them. We have binders of, a binder for each year, so I can pull any one of them out.
That's pretty cool. Man, you have the original ones?
I do.
The very first.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Is it framed and like behind lock and key and all that?
No, we have a few of them. It's not just only one, but yeah, maybe we should frame one.
Maybe
you
should.
Kind of cool to see where it started, how it looked then, and to what it is today.
Yeah. So can you talk a little bit about last month, August of 2020 was the anniversary, the 25th anniversary of that first edition. What does that mean to you personally?
Well, first of all, a lot of people get a little bit confused by that because we were established in 1996, right? So you do the math and it's, well, that's not 25, it's only 24. But when you explain it to them that, okay, well, August of 1996 was the first ever issue ever printed, then the August issue of 2020 was actually the 25th annual August edition.
Right. You're going into the 25th year.
Correct. Yeah. And so I think 25 years again. As we said earlier, it is a milestone. It's to say you've been in print for 25 years, and doing so much good in the community, and it really has woven itself into the fabric of these communities, and it's powerful.
We all know that exercising regularly is beneficial in so many ways, so why don't we always get around to doing it? Hi, I'm Nicole, Association Director of Health, Wellness, and Fitness at the YMCA of Auburn-Lewiston, here with some tips to get you moving. The recommended amount of physical exercise is 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week. You can break it up into 3 10-minute sessions if you need to. It can help reduce the risk of chronic disease, control weight, improve mental health, and reduce stress. You can keep it simple. An outdoor jog, bike ride, yoga, or even a brisk walk has its rewards. Exercising can promote better sleep quality and relaxation while boosting energy levels. It is also good for your muscles, bones, memory, and brain function. The bottom line is that physical exercise offers incredible benefits that can improve nearly every aspect of your health from the inside out. It is good for your mind, body, and spirit. For more health and wellness tips and to learn more about the YMCA of Auburn-Lewiston, visit us online at alymca.org or stop by and see us.
Another thing that's powerful is relationships. And I know, as much as you do, as a small business owner, relationships are key.
Agree.
How important are good relationships for your, personally, but also for your business, and how do you continue to foster those?
Yeah, relationships are very important, and some of my best friends today are advertisers, and obviously they were people I didn't know prior to doing business with them. There's certain advertisers that we hang out all the time. We do vacations together. We play golf together. We just enjoy each other's company and hang out. Our wives like each other. They hang out. It's just it really is amazing how many great people I've met because of this job, this business. And we have so many advertisers that have been with us for so many years. I mean, some of them for 15, 20 years, and some even more than that. But they like what we do in the community. We try and do the extra stuff for them. It's not just sell them an ad and take their money and, hey, see you next month. Typically we're trying to hey, what do you got going on? Is there something coming up? You have an event, open house, or an anniversary, whatever that might be. And maybe we can come in and take some pictures and do an out and about and give you guys some extra exposure. And so I think they appreciate that. Really, I don't know if you want to look at it as above and beyond. It's just part of what we do. But I think that has helped foster relationships, and they can lean on us if they need something. They need something done. We'll do whatever we can to help them out. So, yeah, I think relationships are absolutely vital.
Yeah, one relationship that has really come to your forefront, I think, is Make A Wish Maine, and because of that, the annual summer block party.
Yeah.
which is coming right up.
Yeah, it is.
Can you talk a little bit about how, because this is the 6th annual, so this will be the
Yes.
6th year. Can you talk about how that happened 6 years ago?
Yeah. Well, again, so in 2015 was our 20th anniversary. Again, you do that math and it kind of seems weird, but anyway. So I knew I wanted to throw a big party when we turned 20. And I also felt that it was important to partner with a nonprofit and raise some money and do some good at the same time. So I came up with my short list of nonprofits that I thought were worthy. And at the time, I didn't know anything about Make A Wish. But I just went out and, again, relationships and started networking with some of my closest advertisers that I trusted and said, hey, what do you think of this? And actually, Max Grill is where it's hosted outside of Max Grill. But that was my second stop, and I went to see those guys. Said, hey, have you guys ever considered hosting a party outside? And they were like, no, but we can. So that one thing led to another, and I said, so this is my short list. This is what I'm trying to accomplish, and do you guys know anything about any of these nonprofits? Well, Mike Peters, one of the owners of Max, said, well, hey, I know a guy. And that guy that, he knew, his name was Phil Poirier. And Phil Poirier was on the board of directors for Make A Wish at the time. So he called Phil and said, hey, we get, Jimbo's here and wants to do this event or this party or whatever. He wants to partner with a nonprofit. And Phil's like, well, hey, just so happens tomorrow morning there's a breakfast. They do an annual breakfast every year to just, try and get awareness out there and top of mind and stuff like that. And I said, hey, can you make it? And I actually didn't have anything going. I said, yeah, I can be there. So Mike and I think maybe a couple others went and, got to experience that breakfast. And, Make A Wish, again, today I've seen them do so much, and, everything they do is just first class, So they had a Wish family at that breakfast. And I knew the Wish family. I had no idea that the daughter had been sick. But the daughter stood up. She was 16 years old, and she stood up and talked about her wish and what it did for her and her family. And then she said she was a survivor of Hodgkin's lymphoma, cancer. And I'm like, wow, that's the same cancer I'm a survivor of. How cool is that? So that as soon as I heard her say that, I was done. Okay, this is the one. This is it. So it's sort of serendipitous, right? I mean, it's like, how did that happen? Mm-hmm. So things just kind of fell together, honestly. And that first year we went out and got sponsors, corporate sponsors, to jump on board, and they did, and we actually granted 2 wishes from that event.
That first year,
and again, this was a 20th anniversary party, so right. At that time it wasn't really called the Summer Block Party. And it was supposed to be a one and done. It was like, okay, that was great. That was fun. We had a great time. We had bands, the full bar, the food. It was just a great party. But I had multiple people come up to me and say, hey, when you do this again next year, and I'm like, what do you mean next year? I'm not doing it again, But I started thinking about it, and it's like, well, hey, why not?
Yeah.
So we dug in, and I found the name and renamed the event, obviously named the event Summer Block Party. And here we are 6 years later and have granted, through 5 years, granted 38 wishes to local kids. I mean, it's hyper-local. It's right here, right in our backyard. Yeah. Kids in Auburn, Lewiston, Lisbon, Oxford, Mechanic Falls. I mean, just neighbors, basically. I mean, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. 38 wishes, and over $266,000.
Yeah.
In 5 years.
Yeah, through corporate sponsors, donations and silent auction stuff, and just amazing amounts of work that is very rewarding.
Yeah, a lot of work, a lot of time, and not just for the event, for the party every year, but you also serve on the board for Make A Wish.
Yeah. I think it was after the second block party, I think. maybe it was just before the second. But anyway, because of that, I was asked to join the board for Make A Wish Maine, and that was a very easy yes for me. That is also a lot of work. It's a lot of roll your sleeves up and let's go. This is a very a big time working board that has to get out there and make things happen.
Mm-hmm. I mean, especially right now, going through a pandemic, it's even more challenging, I'm sure.
Yeah, and that having said that, Colby, I mean, it's originally this summer block party was going to be in August.
Right.
And we're watching stuff happen, and all these events are canceled, and fairs are canceled, and it's like some of the balloon festivals canceled, and it's like, holy smokes. But I could not do that. I'm like, I could have done it. Yeah, it would have been easy, but that's not who I am. I'm like, there's still wishes that need to be granted. There's still kids getting sick that have cancer or whatever they may have, leukemia or whatever. But so we're forging ahead, and so we obviously rescheduled it to October 3rd. And I am very, very encouraged in how much community support has already happened, even during this year of 2020 that has a big fat asterisk next to it.
Mm-hmm. Other than the fact that it's actually in the fall, what is different about this year's summer block party?
Well, good question. So obviously with all the restrictions, we are still having a live event, but it's only for 100 people, and you have to buy a ticket. And if you don't have a ticket, you can't get in. And that is one big, huge thing that's different, because prior to that, it was always a free event. And just please make a donation at the registration table, and maybe bid on something in the silent auction or whatever. So that's one thing. The other piece of this is we're going to live stream a portion of the summer block party, and we're going to partner up with some businesses and folks that have huge followings on social media that will hopefully also say yes to helping us live stream this and get the word out there to literally probably thousands of people that we probably never would have seen at our live event, even in a regular year. So we've taken, that piece will be, that'll probably be an hour of the event. The event's only 4 hours this year instead of 8. There are still two bands playing. It took the auction that typically was under a tent, is now going to be online this year. But that's a really nice, cool website that works, really a lot like eBay. You can set your max bid, you can get notifications when you've been outbid and stuff like that. So it's going to be pretty neat. So I'm pretty anxious to see how many people we can reach with this live stream part.
Yeah.
Praxis is creating this movie for us about Liam's wish, and that's a big piece, So that obviously is a big piece of the live stream, and some of our partners, the City of Auburn, they have a big movie screen that they're going to let us use that day, and so the people that are there live will get to see this on a huge screen, and just get to experience what Make A Wish is all about.
Yeah. Since 2015, the annual summer block party presented by Uncle Andy's Digest has raised over $266,000 for Make A Wish Maine. That translates to 38 wishes being granted to Maine children battling critical illnesses. This year, on Saturday, October 3rd, we're doing things a little differently. The party will again be hosted outside, next to Mac's Grill in Auburn, with only 100 in-person tickets being sold. But new for this year, we'll also be streaming the event live. So that means anyone can join in on the celebration and be part of this inspiring community event. To learn more about the Summer Block Party and to purchase tickets, go to lasummerblockparty.com. It sounds like it's a lot of work.
Yes, it is.
And I imagine with anything that requires a lot of work and a lot of energy, coordination, and a deadline can cause stress. But like you said, it's just for a really good cause. What keeps you doing this every single year, and why do you stay on the board? What is it about Make A Wish that is so inspirational for you?
Well, to see the reactions of kids that are getting a wish granted, this just first of all, it offers so much hope, right? I mean, it's one of those things that they can stop thinking about all their doctor's appointments and stop thinking about the illness they're going through at the time, just for a short period of time, just to get their minds on something positive for a little while. And many doctors have said that that actually aids in the healing process. So with all, probably near almost 75% of the kids actually survive and grow to become adults and live full lives. So that's pretty inspirational to me too. But yeah, no, Make a Wish again. I think everything I've ever seen them do has been first class. They seem to think of everything every time. I don't know how they do it, but they do.
And with such a small staff too. I think it's only 7, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're a board of 20 up to 25. We're not quite at 25 at the moment, but we have a very solid set of board of directors that like I said earlier, they roll up their sleeves and are willing to do what it takes to make this work.
Yeah, and also the hundreds of volunteers that are spread throughout this entire state. We don't want to discount their efforts as well, because without Wish volunteers, those wishes wouldn't be the same.
Right, exactly right.
Yeah. So Jimbo, let's switch gears a little bit. Can you share with us any hobbies that you have?
Yeah, for me in my life, it's my release, if you will, has always been around sports. Played sports growing up, from a lot of baseball, soccer, a little bit of basketball. I think baseball was definitely my favorite sport. But into the adult years and having kids and family and stuff like that, I ended up playing some softball. The senior league softball, leftover league, whatever you want to call it. Just getting together with guys and having some fun and playing a sport, which allows you to stop thinking about all the stuff related to work, right? Or whatever stresses you're currently going through. But nowadays though, it's golf. Years prior, I was a huge racquetball player. Played a ton of racquetball. A lot of the guys that used to play are still around. A lot of those guys have moved to pickleball, because racquetball is pretty much a dead sport. So I've dabbled in pickleball a little bit. It is definitely fun. It's not the same as racquetball, but and cornhole is another one too. I do like playing cornhole. That is a growing sport. The thing is, that sport's taken off.
Didn't you just have a tournament for that, or are you in a tournament currently for cornhole?
Actually, I'm in a league.
You're in a league.
Yeah, in a league. Yeah. And there's some serious players, man. Some of those guys just don't miss.
Yeah. Must be frustrating.
I'm not that good. I'm okay. I'm not. I can't put all 4 bags in the hole every time like some of them.
Yeah. Isn't it true that if you didn't play racquetball, you wouldn't be here right now? You wouldn't be the owner of Uncle Andy's Digest?
Yeah, quite possibly.
Possible? It's possible.
Yeah, because one of the previous owners of Uncle Andy's Digest was Gary Dow, and we connected on the racquetball court, and I always kicked his butt, by the way. But no, that's what sort of fostered the friendship a little bit, and
right.
Double dating, him and his girlfriend at the time, and me and my wife, and that's exactly right.
Yeah, that's funny, huh?
It is.
You can trace back all these life events, and if one thing didn't happen, then all of those other things before it wouldn't have.
Yeah, things happen for a reason, right?
They do. They really do. So speaking of your wife, would you like to talk a little bit about your family?
Sure. Yeah.
Including the dogs?
Yeah. Yeah. No, my wife Sue, we've been married 27 years now. We've been together probably, 32 or so. I have 2 beautiful. All 4 of my kids are adults today, and we have 3 grandkids as well. But I have 2 kids from my previous relationship, and then I have 2 with Sue, and they're all 4 of them are fantastic, and have great careers themselves, and giving back in their own way, and growing their own families, and yeah, that's been very rewarding too.
Are all your kids here in Maine?
They are.
That's cool.
Yeah, they're all. I mean, the furthest one away is Wyndham. I mean, that's not far.
That's not far at all.
No.
That's nice. That must be nice.
It is. Yeah, it's beautiful.
Any?
And the dogs. Forgot about the dogs.
Yeah, the dogs. Yes.
We are a golden retriever family, and we actually bred golden retrievers for a little while. But today we have 2 girls. The 2 girls that we actually used to breed, they're still with us. And my son's dog was actually one of our puppies that we bred. Is with us because he's still at home. But they're just beautiful animals. Just so loyal, and
When you were a kid, did you have pets, or did you have dogs when you were growing up?
Yes.
As a kid?
Yep. Yeah. Yeah, different kinds, collies and stuff like that. But usually, typically a bigger dog.
Yeah. Actually, when I was growing up, I was born into a family of dogs, and the first 2 with us were a husky and a Sheltie, but the Sheltie was actually relatively big for that breed, and they stayed with us until we were living in Texas. Obviously they eventually passed away, and then the next generation of pets for our family was another Sheltie, this time very small, typical size, and a collie, and his name was Pippin, or we named him Pippin, and he was the best dog ever, just the best temperament, and good with people, good with everybody, good with us, and still miss him to this day.
Yeah, there's nothing like a dog, in my opinion. There's a lot of great pets out there, but I'm definitely a dog guy, and I definitely would always want to have one around. I mean, it's amazing. We've gone on vacation before. We've had to put our dogs in the the kennel for the week or whatever, and drop the dogs off, come back home to finish packing or whatever, and it's like the house is eerie quiet. It's like, this is just weird.
Yeah.
So it's great having a dog around.
Yeah, companions are,
or multiple dogs.
Yeah, they're important. What's something you think something about yourself that surprises people, or would surprise somebody to learn about you?
I don't know. That's a tough question. Probably that. I think the perception is I'm this big extroverted type of person, and I'm really not. I'm actually really more of an introvert, more quiet, keep to myself kind of person, and like I said earlier, I need to push myself to have a little bit of extrovert.
You're an extroverted introvert, as it were.
There it is.
Yes. Yes. You operate as an extrovert when you have to. But, based on what you do for a living and, to get through this society. But at the core of it, you're an introvert. In other words, you get your energy from being with yourself, quiet, and being able to find peace being independent. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and obviously we're coming into the fall season, and I mean that's just a great time to be outside, really by myself doing whatever, yard work, cutting wood, but out there with the dogs, and throwing the tennis balls so they can go get them and bring them back, and just gives you time to think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Were you the shy kid in class when you were growing up?
I wouldn't say shy. No, I had no problems speaking my mind. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But when it came to doing something that you had to be in front of people, that was not a strength.
You're good at it now.
Well, I'm glad you think so.
Sort of like the fake it till you make it thing, right?
Yeah, no, I mean it's I can do what I got to do. I mean, obviously I've had to push myself to, some of the networking stuff that I do. You have to speak in front of people, so you obviously have no choice but to get better at it.
Yeah. So going back to Uncle Andy's Digest real quick, did it start here in Auburn?
It did.
Because we are currently at Uncle Andy's Digest office, which is
World headquarters,
World HQ, which is on Grove Street, which is just off of Center Street in Auburn. Has it always been here, or was it a different spot before?
No. When I first started working at the Digest in 2001, we were on the corner of Sabattis and, oh my God, I forgot the name of the street. Farwell, there it is.
Oh, so it was in Lewiston?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It did start in Auburn, but that was...
that's where you started. It was, yeah.
Yeah, and then we moved, a few times after that, and we used to have an office above the Midnight Blues Club. If the folks out there remember that place, that was a great office to have, and could just go downstairs and kick back after the day was done too. So, and then we moved to over behind where the Auburn Police Department used to be in the old barn building, and then I ended up buying this building that we're in now, and have been here ever since.
Yep. What do you like about this location?
The proximity to Center Street, and obviously not necessarily paying the I can see Center Street from my window, but not paying the taxes on Center Street.
Right.
So it's easy to get to. Is we have enough parking. It seems to work, and having a tenant upstairs obviously helps support that too. So
sure.
Yeah, it's been a great spot for us.
Yeah. I don't think we're going to get to all my questions. Now I have to pick and choose. How does one live a meaningful life?
Well, I think finding something that you're happy doing. Obviously, I love quotes and sayings and stuff like that, and obviously there's the one everybody's heard that talks about if you find something you love, you never really work a day in your life, kind of thing. And I sort of feel like that's been me a little to some extent. I think obviously there are times when there's stress can get you a little bit, but when I look back and take look at that 20,000-foot view of what I'm doing, it's like this is kind of cool. This is something I never thought I'd be here. I never thought I'd be, that well known in the community that I do business in and live in and work in and play in, but it's been great, and it's not all rainbows and unicorns, but I mean it's overall, yeah, it's been awesome, and I think just finding what is it you're passionate about. Find something that drives you and do it.
Yeah. I think there's something to be said about paving your own way as well. I think that's, there's like the self-satisfaction of that can be a pretty huge factor. Along the way, have you ever received a piece of advice that you've really latched to and that you still think about today?
There's been a lot of trainings and seminars and things I've been to through the years, whether it's motivational speakers and stuff like that. There's always something they say that kind of holds on. Never really lose it. And I think just again trying to continually douse yourself in good stuff. Positive. Whether it's podcasts, whether it's audiobooks, whether it's reading a book, the old-fashioned way, trying to connect with those guys that just have the drive and can inspire you. Is the Simon Sinek's, those kinds of guys, the Zig Ziglars, and those types of people that I love listening to. That just make really, I don't know, just light the fire inside you.
Yeah. And I imagine that fire is still raging with you. What do you think the next chapter is for Jimbo Marston?
Well, that's a great question. I'm here. I am. Worked hard all of my life, and I'm sitting here. I'm 55 years old, and kind of feel like I'm just hitting my stride. Honestly, I think that I don't know. Nobody knows what the future holds, right? I mean, you just don't. You can't know. But again, I'm a big believer in things happen for a reason, and if you just have relationships with the right kinds of people that think the way you do, and even people that are smarter than you, that pushes you too.
Yeah.
Quite a list you got there.
I know. So going back to the question about living a meaningful life, and you talked about how do what you love. If you can do what you love, do what you're passionate about, that's meaningful. But I think another thing for you, just as an outside observer, I think giving back is something that's really important to your core. And I think you found that in many ways, but I think it's most exemplified and most recently with Make A Wish. And I can imagine that even if your next chapter means that you've retired from Uncle Andy's Digest, you're still going to be involved with Make A Wish somehow. And does that thought ever cross your mind? And you said the future, you don't know what the future holds, but we can hope for things in the future. Do you wish to continue?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I've Make A Wish Maine is about 30 years old, and there's only been, I believe, 5 board members that have termed out, because you can only be on the board for 12 total years. There's a set of 6, and then you have to take at least a year off, and then another set of 6 if they want you back, or if you want to go back. And there's only been 5 that have actually done all 12 years, and I think that would be a good club to be in.
Yeah,
actually. We have a guy on that sits in our board meetings has emeritus status, and he was one of the founding. He was one of the first board members. So he's been around Make A Wish Maine really since its inception, and it's pretty neat to have that sort of wisdom and knowledge around you.
Yeah.
I think that's how I feel right now. I think Make A Wish is pretty special, and it's a lot of work, but it's worthy work, and very rewarding. So it's I've been on multiple boards in the past, and this is by far the best one I've ever been part of.
One of the things that you like about being in this business or publishing Uncle Andy's Digest is that it's a positive awareness type of. It's a positive, funny, uplifting kind of publication, and our culture seems to be inundated with negativity.
For sure.
All the time. There's no end. So, in my opinion, it's actually one of the reasons that you keep this thing going is you're trying to be that light through all of the darkness. Is there something you'd like to say that can kind of summarize, especially in what we're going through right now in 2020? It's not been a good year.
Yeah.
In many ways.
Yeah, you can't swear on a podcast, right?
It's up to you. I mean,
I guess I remember seeing Zig Ziglar live one time, and that guy was just a powerhouse anyway. And one of his famous quotes, or, if you help enough other people get what they want, you'll get what you want. And I think I agree with that. I think I kind of live that, whether you're talking about Make A Wish or, trying to, make sure that the team here that helps produce both magazines that we put out there, that we have a great atmosphere. Hopefully we do. And, just a good working relationship. And, if we can continue education somehow, some way, whether, we all go to obviously Zig's not around anymore, but, I don't know, something along those lines to just inspire us a little bit. We've done some of those over the years. It's been a while, but probably due for one. But yeah, no, I think, again, just finding that, what drives you, what are you passionate about, and just go do it. And you help other people along the way, and just you can't help but raise your ship too, right?
The greatest gift you can give yourself is by giving to others.
Yeah, amen.
My many thanks to Jimbo for taking the time to share his stories and insights, and for getting behind this podcast. This program would not exist without him. A big shout out to the YMCA of Auburn Lewiston and Uncle Andy's Digest for sponsoring this episode. We have many more exciting guests ahead in upcoming episodes, so make sure you're subscribed to this podcast wherever you listen to your other shows. That way you're not missing out on future episodes when they are released. We also want to thank you for listening. You, our audience, is the most important piece of this program, and we know that these recordings are just slices of a bigger ongoing conversation that we want you to be a part of. If you have any thoughts or ideas, please let us know on social media. LA Metro Magazine is on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. Connect with us there. Positive vibes and well wishes from all of us at LA Metro Magazine. Until next time, I'm your host, Colby Michaud. Make sure you're being entertained, staying informed, and getting inspired.